Good evening, everybody at home. Um, so welcome, everyone. It's nice to see a full room. We were talking just now that it's been a few weeks. There is a lot of people coming to the meeting, so we're always very happy to see lots of people. I'm sure that there's way more people that we can see, or majority of us can see, maybe. But it's nice to see lots of incarnated people coming to the meetings. So everybody at home, welcome too. So today, because it's a lecture, we are streaming also live. So every end of month, we have a lecture, 1 month in Portuguese, 1 month in English. So today we will have a lecture in English, and it's about free will. So Alcione will join us in a few minutes to bring the lecture to us. And next month, the lecture in the end of the month will be by a guest and will be in Portuguese. So usually we do the meetings here every Wednesday at 7:15. Usually we tell people to arrive at 7 so we can start getting into the mood, trying to be already thinking of people that are maybe in need of a vibration, that are in need of our prayers and thoughts. So we start the meeting at 7:15, and if we're streaming like the lecture, we start streaming at 7:15. We do our initial reading and then our initial prayer, and then today we start the lecture, but in a regular study group, we would read a little bit of the gospel and a little bit of the Spirit's book and discuss. Um, and today, in the end of the lecture, Alcione will open for questions if anyone wants to make any questions or any comments. Usually in the group, it's pretty interactive. All of us have the chance to talk, ask questions, make comments. And we are not doing the live streaming of that anymore since hopefully COVID is past us and we can all be here in person. So we haven't been streaming that anymore. We're just streaming the lectures because we also save them on YouTube. So you can see the past lectures on YouTube, and most of them also, if they are in Portuguese, thanks to Mani, majority of them also have subtitles in English. So if you have any friends or if your cell phone speaks English, it's worth passing by our channel on YouTube. Mani would say subscribe it and have a look at the other lectures. We have quite a lot of material in there, a lot of content. So this is what happens on Wednesdays. On Mondays, we have our mediumship group. So that's a close group of people that have been studying for a while. So they already have done ages of the basic studies of the Spiritist doctrine for 3 years and studied mediumship for at least a year and a half before they started doing this mediumship group. And now they are doing lots of practical studying theoretical studying before going to practice of mediumship. So this group has been reunited for over 3.5 years now.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So to be part of the group, you have to go through ASE first, so the basic doctrine studies, which takes around 3 years. Depends on the group. The group that is studying now on Thursday, they are almost done, so they're probably going to finish in 2.5 years. Is that it? 2.5?
Probably.
Yeah.
Hope so.
Yeah, so it's takes maybe between 2.5 and 3.5 years to study all 3 modules of the basics of the Spiritist doctrine. So if you are interested in studying that, so it's not like Wednesday that you can just drop in. It's a bit more of a commitment, and obviously it's a long-term commitment because 2.5, 3.5 years. You can sign up with us at the end. We're trying to collect a list of people that are interested in doing the ASE because we need to have numbers for that. So that study is in Portuguese, mainly because we only have the books in Portuguese at the moment. We know there is a translation, but at the moment we only have the books in Portuguese. So if there is interest in doing a group in English, we could maybe look into it for the future. So anyone that is interested, come and talk to me or to Alcione, André in the end, and we will sign you up And once we have the numbers, we can let you know that we will start the group. So we have one group now that has been meeting on Tuesdays evening, but they are already finishing, so we're just starting a new group now if we have the numbers. So, and then we'll decide which day works best for majority of people. So there's not a defined day yet. And then on Sunday, we have our child and youth studies. So we have children between now 8 and 12 years old. And we usually divide into groups, so children and youth. And they started quite small, and now we already have youth, right? So at first we only had children, and now we have children and youth. We have more children coming, so soon we're going to start the small children again. But if anyone has children or knows anyone that have children that would like to participate, just talk to us also in the end. We usually meet here on Sunday morning from 10 to 12 o'clock, like more or less. I think that's all the notice, right? Fraternal assistance, if anyone's, apoio fraterno, if anyone would like to talk to one of us, you can reach out to us over Facebook or email, and just drop us a message that you would like to meet, to have a chat. If there's anything you can think of that we might be able to help, talking to someone inside the Spiritist group can be a big support if you're going through something complicated, if you have to make some decisions, or if you just need someone to maybe talk something through, or to pray together. We can always do that. You just have to let us know in advance, and we can arrive half an hour before and meet here before the study to talk. So one of us will reply, and one of us will come earlier and meet you here half an hour before the study group, so we can have a chat and hopefully be of some assistance. Now I said it all. So I'll read the page, and we are reading the Living Spring. Number 56. Be born again now. I tell you the truth, no one can see the kingdom of God unless he is born again. Jesus. Nature holds valuable lessons in this respect. Years pass with mathematical precision. Nevertheless, each day is a new day. Since people have 365 opportunities per year to learn and to start again, how many opportunities for moral renewal will there be in the blessed period of an entire lifetime? Keep what is good and just, beautiful and worthy from the past, but do not hold on the darkness and details, even when they are disguised in enchanting clothing. In your endeavors of true fraternity, do your own share. Do not shoulder your spirit benefactors and friends with it. Each new hour may bring readjustment. If possible, do not put off till later the ties of peace and love you can create now by replacing the heavy shackles of disaffection. It is not easy to break our old preconceptions about the world, or open our hearts and forgive those who have hurt us. Nonetheless, the best antidote against the poison of aversion is our goodwill towards those that hate or misunderstand us. While we are holed up in our defensive fortress, our adversary thinks of ways to come up with more ammunition against us. However, if we face the situation fearlessly and calmly, showing a new attitude in the conflict, the idea of peace replaces the dark fermentation of war inside and around us. Has someone offended you? Exercise understanding once more. Has someone misunderstood you? Persevere in demonstrating the best intentions. Revitalize yourself each day in the crystal clear and incessant stream of the good. Do not forget the Master's words. No one can see the kingdom of God unless he is born again. Be born again right now, regarding your objectives, resolutions, and attitudes, working to overcome the obstacles around you and anticipating the victory over yourself in due time. It is better to help today than to be helped tomorrow. do our initial prayer. So if we close our eyes and get settled in our chairs, and actually purposely alive here, feel present, and together we thank the friendly spirituality, for the blessings we are about to receive, for the knowledge we are about to share with each other. We thank for the opportunity of being here, reunited, studying a little more of this wonderful doctrine that teaches so much every single day. Like the text just says, here we are trying to enjoy 365 new opportunities in the course of this year of doing different, of growing some more. We ask your blessings so that today we enjoy and seize this opportunity of learning some more, of observing this wonderful knowledge. We ask that you bless Alcione so she may be inspired and supported by these groups and her mentors, and that all of us have our hearts and minds open to actually listen to everything that will be portrayed tonight. God our Father, we ask that you bless those that couldn't be here with us tonight, neither physically present or online, that whatever is keeping them from sharing this moment with us, that they may receive and feel your blessings, your love with them. Jesus our brother, we ask that you continue to embrace planet Earth and protect us, and we will always be thankful for all the work that you do for our planet and for your eternal commitment to humanity. We ask that you bless all of those that may arrive and join us here physically or online or disincarnated, that Master join us in the next few minutes, that we all remain in the same vibration, getting the best out of this next hour. Thank you, and so good. All right, so I'll pass the stage to Alcione.
Kia ora, good evening. Welcome, everybody. Is everyone good today?
Yes.
Hopefully better after this little presentation. So tonight, as Carol already said, we'll be talking about free will according to Spiritism. And we're going to just show you guys the overview of all the topics we'll be talking about tonight. So first of all, we talk about the definition of free will, some types of freedom, thoughts, conscience, action, levels of free will, society and free will, fatality and free will, lots of free will, as you can see, and then Jesus, our master. So for this presentation, we use two books that you guys might know, a Spirit's book, and also Gospel according to Spiritism. So most of the information from there are from these books. Spirit's books, especially chapter 10, Law of Freedom, and Gospel, a little bit of chapter 4 and some others as well. Cool? So starting with the definition of free will. What is free will? It's the capacity or ability to choose between different possible courses of action, So in other words, is our capacity or ability to choose, is when we make choices in life. And we make those choices all the time. So just today, we use our free will a lot. Since the minute we woke up, we had the free will to pray or not pray. We had the free will to get up or not get up. So everyone that is here got up, thankfully. You guys are here, so I'm sure. The ones online maybe are lying down, depends on the time. But we always have those choices. Some people went to work, some people stayed home, some people did something else. So all the choices that we make throughout the day, we use our free will. Also regarding our behavior and our moral as well. We can, for instance, react positively to things around us, to things that happen in the traffic, maybe at home or at work. We may react negatively. So again, it's our choice, it's our free will. And everyone here used the free will to come here tonight. So thank you for using your free will to be here. Unless someone forced you to be here, but probably not. So that's more or less how it works. But we're going to understand a little bit more how this freedom works in our lives and how we can make the best use of it, because not always we make the best use of it. So before get specifically into free will according to Spiritism, there are two other freedoms that is important for us to understand: the freedom of thoughts and the freedom of conscience. So that's also part of the law of freedom. Freedom of thoughts, it's really simple to understand. We can decide what we want to think about. No one can control our thoughts, what we're thinking. And that freedom is really massive, it's really complete in a way. So, for instance, less evolved spirits, they mostly use this type of freedom, the freedom of thought, which sounds really good at first, but if we only have that, it's not so good for us. Because only with the freedom of thought, without the freedom of conscience, we have no limits, no constraints, no barriers. It's more like you can do whatever you like, doesn't matter. And then less evolved spirits will therefore make more mistakes. Because with all this freedom, the tendency is to have more negative thoughts and less positive thoughts. Negative thoughts could be in terms of anger, jealousy, hate, and all the vices that we all know. Thoughts, they become usually they become feelings and becomes action. So therefore, it's not so good to have only the freedom of thoughts, but we all who have that or had that before when we were less evolved or imperfect, more imperfect spirits. The freedom of conscience is what will help us to evolve, because the freedom of conscience will provide us with some constraints, with some limits, and the freedom of conscience will be based on the divine laws. We all know, and according to Spiritism, the divine laws are written in our conscience. So the more we're able to access all the divine laws, more we'll be able to control our thoughts, select them, and trying to have more positive ones towards love, towards charity, and towards all the good virtues that we all aim to have. But to be a little bit clear, let's give just a quick example as well. So Viktor Franklin is a psychologist, or was, I suppose he passed away, but he's still going in the spiritual plan. And he created logotherapy, which is the therapy about the meaning of life. He was in the Nazi concentration camp for many years. And while he was there, if he only used the freedom of thought, that would be not so good for him, because the environment was, we can imagine it really sad, a concentration camp, not good things happening there, right? And when we are in an environment when things are not so good, our tendency is to have negative thoughts of sadness, of maybe anger as well. But however, he had developed more, or a little bit at least, the freedom of conscience, because he was able to keep his hope And by thinking about two things, the book that he started and he wants to finish, and about his wife as well, that was in another concentration camp. So by keeping his hope, he was one of the ones that survived that, and he managed to be positive while he was there. The other example, the movie Shawshank Redemption. In Portuguese, I can't recall the name, but it's a very famous movie anyway. Andy, he was in the prison for many, many years. And again, he was, he managed to be positive while he was there. He used the freedom of conscience for that. And when they asked him, how did you manage to be that way? You were there for so long. And he said, I had Mozart in my company. Mozart, the classic, famous classic musician. And then the guy asked, so did you have the tape recorder or something? And said, no, I had all the songs in here. He points his heart, left, right, and here as well. So he kept selecting the negative thoughts, again, of sadness, of anger, and he cultivates the positive ones of hope and faith. And then he managed to manage his thoughts. So are everyone following that? The thoughts and the conscience? Cool. Because the other freedom that we then have is the free will, which is the freedom of action. So number one, I distribute some papers and I'm gonna ask some people to help. Who has number one, please?
Good evening, guys. Has mean freedom of action. Since he has freedom of thought, he has freedom of action. Without free will, man would be a machine. Spiritual calendar.
Cool, thank you, Ricardo. So Allan Kardec, I mean, the superior spirits confirms to us that yes, man has freedom of action, man has freedom of thoughts. But now we need to understand if everyone has the same level of freedom, how is that? How does that work between all of us? So, because having the freedom also can be tricky for us, right? When we have too many options, for instance. So sometimes some weekends we have nothing to do, and some others, especially when we are tired, maybe many invites come, right? So it could be someone calling us to help with moving houses, which is if we are very tired, maybe we don't want to do that, right? And someone else call us for a barbecue, or maybe we just want to rest. So when we have too many choices, it can be hard for us to make a decision. Sometimes we wish there was just one choice, and then we just go for it rather than be needing to decide. Also can happen that we are afraid of making the right choice. So sometimes we are presented with a few choices, could be 2 or 3 job offers, if we're very lucky, and then how do we choose? So it's good to have freedom at first. We feel, oh, it's good to have free will, but at the same time, it can be a little bit tricky. And also, when we choose something, we give up the other choices. I think a good example that most of us can relate is that many of us, or I believe most of us, we are from Brazil and we chose to come to New Zealand. So when we chose to come to New Zealand, we gave up our life there. And we gave up maybe being close to our family members, our friends, and we gave up the lifestyle that we had there. And can be tricky, can be confusing for us. And many times we might wonder what would happen if I didn't leave, if I would stay there. But then we never know, because once you make a choice, you don't have access to the other ones that you left behind. So Kardec also was interested in knowing how our previous life will influence our free will in this life. Because we know, as spiritists, at least we believe, that we had previous life, there is reincarnation. And in the previous life, we acquire vices, we acquire also, hopefully, some virtues as well. So we bring with us, when we incarnate, everything that we learned. So how can we have free will if we are already bringing all this baggage with us? How does that work? So the question 845, aren't the instinctive predispositions that individuals bring at birth an obstacle to the exercise of their free will? Instinctive instinctive, predispositions arise from those of the spirit before its incarnation. These predispositions can incite the individual to reprehensively act, in which he or she will be aided by spirits who sympathize with such dispositions. However, there is no irresistible urging if the individual has the will to resist. Remember, where there is a will, there is a way. So we are going to bring with us these predispositions. And some of them will be about our vices, our jealousy, our selfishness, our hate, anger, and all of those. However, in here, we have the opportunity to choose. And we also have often influence, or as it says there, aided by spirits who sympathize. So we receive influence from spirits. We also believe that we receive influence positive and negative as well. But in the end of the day, we choose. So regardless of the influence of everything around us, regardless from the influence of the spirits, it's always our choice and it's our responsibility, and the consequences also will come to us. So we do bring from the past, but we exercise free will, regardless of this thing, what we had in the past. So there, of course, we know in spiritism we don't really believe in angel or devil as such, but it's just meaning positive or negative influence. So in situations in our life, we have both, but depending on our vibration level, we'll be more tuned with the vibration of our thoughts. So let's say if we're thinking about charity, if we're thinking about helping others, forgiveness, therefore we have the spirits that they think similar to us. So it'll be easier for us to hear or to capture the influence of the good spirits. On the other hand, if we are upset, if we are angry, or if we're not happy with our lives, we are going to get influence from spirits that also are on the same vibration. So that's why we get the good and the bad, and it's our decision, our free will, our responsibility. So we have number 2 somewhere. Thank you.
Why God gave us free will? Being just, God must distribute everything in equal parts to all his children. So it is established that everyone starts from the same point, which with the same aptitudes, the same obligations to fulfill, and having the same liberty, freedom to proceed. Gospel chapter 4, item 25.
Thank you, André. So another principle or understanding of the spirits is that all the spirits were created by God, simple and ignorant, with the same aptitudes, with the same potential. And when God created us, he also gave this free will together with us, so we can use and do our best with it. But apart from the free will, there are many other things that God gave us. And even though when we are created, when we're new spirits, can be hard to see those seeds of love, compassion, our potentialities, faith, courage, intelligence, because we can imagine that when we are created, all these virtues, they are seeds of everything. So in latent states, meaning they are going to develop as we cultivate them, as we use them. So even the simple and ignorant spirits, when they are created, they already possess that in them. Well, we can talk about ourselves. We were one day simple and ignorant, and we had that in ourselves. But now we evolved a little bit, thankfully. Today we're better than yesterday. So we already developed a little bit of all the virtues that we still need to develop a lot. But the point is that God gave us the freedom, but also gave us the tools to evolve. And will depend on us how we use the free will to get there, faster or slower. Number 3.
Question 262. As a spirit, At its origin is simple, ignorant, and without experience. How can he make an intelligent choice of an existence? And how can he be responsible for such a choice?
Right. So if the spirits then only have seeds of goodness and have the freedom, how can they make the correct choice when they are just created? Number 4.
God supplies what is lacking through his experience by tracing out for him the road which he has to follow, as you do for the infant in the cradle. But he allows him, little by little, to become the master of his choice, in proportion as his free will becomes developed. And it is then that he often loses his way and takes the wrong road. If he do not listen to the advice of the good spirits, who endeavor to instruct him, it is it is this which may be called the fall of man. Spirits.
Thank you. So now we can see that the free will is not the same for all spirits. Their will depends on the level of evolution. The more evolved spirits are, more free will they have. And if we think about ourselves in a way, kids don't have much free will. Parents need to go and feed the kids. Parents need to put them to bed. They are not able yet to deal with all this freedom. And so as the spirits answer, so it's like what God does with us when we're still simple and ignorant, or when we're still in the early times of our evolution. It's almost like God or the superior spirit just take our hands and try to guide us a little bit. So with less free will, but also less responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. That's Uncle Ben from Spider-Man, if I'm not mistaken. And it's very true. That's very true. So it's proportional because God is just. Would make no sense to have the same responsibility in a spirit that is still in the early ages of evolution, same as the one that is what really evolved. So that makes sense with God's justice and goodness as well. Number 5.
Question 121. How is that some spirits have followed the road of good and others the road of evil? Have they not the free will? God has not created any spirits bad. He has created them simple and ignorant, that is to say, possessing an equal aptitude for good and for evil. Those who become bad become so on their own free will. Spirits.
Thank you, Marina. So now Kardec is also asking that even spirits create at the same time, could be that some go much faster than others, could be that some are always choosing the right pathway and some other always making the same mistake. So why is that? How is that possible? And then the answer is exactly the free will. So we all can choose every single day of our lives. We all have choices. And some will choose to go faster, to really invest in their moral development, to really invest in their spiritual life. And some will choose to go slower. And even if they realize they make a mistake, just keep doing the same mistake. Or don't want to study, don't want to learn, don't want to change. Because it's much easier to just keep doing what we're doing. We all like our comfort zone, right? It's good. It's really good to be in the comfort zone, but it's also good to be in the learning zone. The zone that you challenge yourself, the zone that you put challenge for yourself in terms of a spiritual life. When you analyze your mistakes, when you analyze your strengths, but your weaknesses as well, and make a plan to become better. So just by having the free will to come here tonight, everyone, it's a sign that we all want to learn, that we all want to improve and change ourselves. So that's a good sign, guys. Let's be happy about it. It's something good. So, and also with free will, of course, comes responsibility and is our choice. So for spirits that maybe went to the road, not the best road, could be and often is because of the vices that we all have. So pride is a really tricky one to overcome. And by the way, we all have, unless there is a saint in this room, maybe, I don't know. But as far as I know, we all have pride. And we might have pride in different situations. Some people might be proud about their money, their status, and about their family, and so on. So the problem with pride is when we feel superior to others, when we feel that we are better than others or we have more than others. And achieving humility is hard, but only with time and with a great effort we'll be able to do that as well. But it's all about the free will in the little situations in our lives that slowly we are going to achieve it. So also Kardec had another question. How can spirits at their origin, when they have not yet acquired self-consciousness, possess freedom of choice between good and evil? Is there in them any principle, any tendency, which incline them towards either road, then towards, road rather than towards the other? Free will is developed in proportion of as the spirits acquire the consciousness of himself. Some spirits have followed temptation, others have resisted it. So it will be all about our progression, and it will be all proportional to our learning, to our access of the conscience. Because it would be really easy to say we all have access to the divine laws because they are in our conscience. But the understanding of the divine laws, that's the tricky part. We don't understand yet very much. We may understand a little bit, but it's still a lot. When we're able to understand all the divine laws, then we'll be fully accessing our conscience. So by the way, the conscience is like the little voice in our head. When we're doing something and then we hear inside our head, don't do it, that's no good, do something else. Or inspiration also can come from our conscience. But that takes time and takes work to get there. So just to try to understand a little bit that progression of, it's probably very small, but I'm going to read as well, the progression of our conscience and our evolution as well. So this is a poem, and it's called Autobiography in 5 Chapters. I don't know if anyone knows that one. It's really cool, actually. So chapter 1, that would be when the spirit is in the beginning of their journey, simple and ignorant. So I walk down the street. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. So in that stage, there is a hole. We fall. We don't know where we are, and we don't recognize that's our fault. It's someone else, it's maybe God, my parents, society, something outside of me. So that's when we are not so evolved. That's our mentality. That's how our conscience is working. Chapter 2, I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk, the same situation. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again, and I can't believe I am in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. So there, a little bit better. So falls again, pretend that don't see, not my fault, not my responsibility, takes a long time. The first one, forever. So a long, much longer time. So a little bit better, the conscience we can access a little bit more. Chapter 3, I walk down the same street. And by the way, we do the same mistakes many times. We do the same trial many times. But one time we'll get it right. Don't worry, we'll get there. Chapter 3, I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it. So before, we couldn't even see where the mistake was or why we're doing it wrong. But now our conscience, yeah, we see, oops, it's a mistake. I still fall in, it's a habit because I've done that for many times. But my eyes are open, I know where I am, it is my fault. I get out immediately. Much better, right? We see it, we recognize it, so therefore we are much better in accessing the divine laws in our conscience. So chapter 4, I walk down the same street. Again, the same type of situation. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. We don't fall anymore. Yay, much better, guys. Getting there. So now we are able to identify earlier and we don't fall and we walk around it. So really good, really, we're doing well, we're doing well. So chapter 5, I walk down another street. So far away from that situation, far away from that mistake. That's just to give us a little bit of hope, because we'll get there. We'll take time and everything. But just for us to try to understand that there is a process to it. There is a way to get there. But to get there, we'll need to choose to get there. That's the thing. It's very simple to choose. It's hard, yes, but it's simple at the same time. So also Kardec was interested to know how the society influenced our how the society influenced our free will. Because we already said that our family can influence our free will, our workplace, everything around us can influence. What about society? So question 863, do not social habits often oblige a man to follow one road rather than another? And is not his choice of occupation often controlled by the opinion of those about him? Is not the sentiment which leads us to attach a certain amount of importance to the judgment of others an obstacle to the exercise of free will? So all the social habits, everything that everyone is doing, many times we'll be trying to follow and just go with the flow. Everyone is doing, why I will do different? I don't want to be the odd one out, the one that everyone finds weird. Why is that person not doing that? So the answer to the question is social habits are made not by God, but by men. So similar to human laws are made by human and divine laws made by God, completely different. If men submit to them, it is because it suits them to do so, and their submission is therefore an act of free will. So we follow the social habits because we want, we choose that. Free will. Since if they wish to liberate themselves from those habits, they could do so. Why then do they complain? It's not the social habits that they should accuse, but their pride, which makes them prefer to starve rather than to derogate from what they consider to be their dignity. A quick example about that is a social habit, and I believe it's very common everywhere, is gossip. So we all know that people gossip at work, at home, everywhere, right? And we have some level of conscience we know is wrong. By now, I believe everyone in this room should know that gossip is wrong. Talking bad things about someone that usually is not present. So let's say that at work, someone starts a conversation, and often there is one person that gets all the bad comments, one or two. And we are with this group, and someone says that so-and-so is really lazy. Someone else adds that they don't work well. And it's our choice to either say something, but our tendency will be to, oh, yeah, you're right, yeah. And then sometimes possibly add something else. Yeah, he also takes lots of sick day. So it's not using well our conscience. We're just doing because everyone is doing, and it would be weird. Could be, for some people, feel weird if we don't do. But instead, we can choose to have a few options. Don't say anything. Say something good about the person and say, well, you know, but he's a generous person, so nobody's perfect. You know, everyone makes mistakes. We can be the one saying something different, whether people will like or not. But it's something very common. Another example of social habits, which nowadays, I believe it's a bit less, but especially when I was a teenager, not long ago, a few years ago only, was very common for people to smoke. Like in the university, most of people would smoke. And then some people would smoke only because the friends were smoking. So just to follow, just to not be out of the group. And so because we are in this planet of trial and expiations, where we still, in the beginning of our evolution, if we just follow what society is doing, no good for us. If we just follow what the majority is doing or what the majority likes, that's not going to help with our development. So we do need to have these individual checks with ourselves and make the choices according with our conscience and according to the divine laws. So now just a little bit of fatality and free will. So fatality meaning destiny, or things are written and we can't change anything. So Kardec asked, the fatality which seems to shape our material destinies is then a result of our free will? So are things really programmed for us or destiny for us, or we can change things while we are here? And the answer is, you yourself have chosen your trial. The severer it is, and the better you bear it, the higher you do raise yourself. The number of those who are unfortunate is much greater in your world than those who are fortunate, because the spirits generally make choice of the trial that will be most useful to them. They see too clearly to futility of your grandeurs and your enjoyments. So basically here is saying that when we are in this spiritual plane, most of us, there are exceptions, we choose our trials. We choose our problems and the difficulties that we are going to have here according to what we need to learn. Because while we are there, we know what we need to learn. We don't know about all our past lives and everything, depending on the case, but we have an idea of what we need to improve. So, for instance, if we need to improve our humility, we may choose to come in a very poor, with lots of poverty, to learn about that. For instance, just giving a random example, right? And if we have difficulty with abusing or drinking a lot of alcohol, to test ourselves, we may choose to come in a family where everybody drinks a lot. So it's our choice. That's why we can't complain. Some people say, I didn't choose this life. I don't like my life. Well, we chose. That's our choice, really. So therefore, there is no, the fatality is only in terms of the type of trial that we chose. Also will be fatality in terms of who is the mother, who is the father, what type of environment we are going to be in. So there is some fatality, but not in everything. So more in terms of type of trial, wealth, poverty, but the free will applies to how we deal with all the trials, how we deal with all the situations that we have in our life. So we can't really say that happened to me is fatality. That's destiny, was written, maktub, like Paulo Coelho, our friend, he says. By the way, really good as well. So there is no, we can't blame anyone. We can't blame other people, and we can't blame fatality or destiny. Everything we do will have results. Everything we do will have consequences, because God gave us this free will, which is given to us proportionally to our understanding, and the responsibility also is proportional to our understanding. So nobody came here really to fail. Man is not fatally led into evil. He'll be tempted to do wrong, but he always remains free to do or not to do. So when we see crimes or when we see really bad things happening, we can't say, oh, that was organized in the spiritual plan before they come to do a murder or to do something really bad. This is our choice. This is our choice. So it's our responsibility as well. So now, just a little part that I want to talk about. This book, in Portuguese, Libertação, Liberation, written by, dictated by Spirit André Luiz. Not this André Luiz, the other one. We have one here, but it's the other one, by Chico Xavier. So it's just a story. Anyone read Libertação? A few people? No. One, André Luiz, of course. It's, by the way, a really good book. If you do buy it, buy a tissue box as well, because you're gonna cry. Most likely you're gonna cry. All these books are really fantastic. But I'm just gonna say a little piece of it, very interesting parts, where Gregorio, and the names I'll say in Portuguese, it's a bit tricky to translate. So Gregorio is a leader of a spiritual organization, but it's an organization not for good, it's the organization for bad. So they do inflict suffering. Of course, it's not by God, the organization, just clarify. So this organization, they have groups that come to Earth to do some obsession in people, etc., etc. And then one lady that was being obsessed by Gregorio's group, she had a father that was really high level, like very evolved, had moral superiority, and worked for the good of everyone. And the father of Matilde, he decided to help, and was Gubbio. So the way that Gubbio helped and made Gregorio give up on the obsession was by helping all the obsessors, one by one, with patience, with love. He helped all the obsessions by helping their loved ones. So because obsessors or someone that has someone else that wants to do something bad, they also have family. We all have someone that really loved us, whether in this life or past lives. And they were so touched by that Gubbio was able to help their loved ones at the same time that they were inflicting obsession in the daughter of Gubbio. Sorry guys, I think it's a little bit confused. But Gubbio, that really high evolved spirits, he somehow convinced the obsessors that the power of love, or the side of love, was much more powerful. And he did that by serving them, by helping them first. And after that, the obsessors could help Gubbio as well to recover his daughter. So in the end, I think towards the end, also Gregorio, that was really still not evolved spirit, he also couldn't resist to the power of love, especially when he saw his mother, Matilde, if I'm not mistaken. Is it Matilde, André? Something like that. Sorry if the names are wrong. So when he saw his mother and he felt the power of his mother, and of course, after lots of talking and lots of explanations as well, he gave up the, let's say, the word's not exactly, but the bad sides, or that side of doing something wrong, and he woke up. So the conscience was there, but not yet fully developed. But anyway, in this book, we can really see the power of love, and we can see the free will, how it's really a matter of choice, that someone can be really doing really bad things, but when something clicks, or when something makes them see that love is more powerful and that love is a way, people can change. And yeah, so I would recommend people to read that book. Better than Netflix. I'm sure you're gonna cry a lot, but it's a really good reading. So we talked about free will a lot, but how can we use free will to our advantage in terms of to make us progress quicker? And serving, that idea of serving I find really interesting, which of course has to do with help and charity, because we like being served, right? I like being served. Ask Ricardo, I always ask him, can I make some coffee? Can I do that? Can you please do that? We like being served, but we also need to learn how to serve. And to serve is to help in every opportunity we have. not only the opportunities that show up, but we can also look for opportunities. When we are at home, at work, or wherever we are, we should try to pay attention and check if someone needs help. Sometimes someone at work sits next to us and we don't really pay attention to realize they need help. They are different, they are sad, or something happens. So it's good if we can ask, are you okay? Do you need anything? And be of service of others. So we need to start doing that. We need to start helping others. And of course, not only, and sometimes we can help communities as well. There is so many people that need help, but we need to look for it. And the opportunities that we have, even the ones near us that could be even harder to forgive, to understand, and to love. So we do have lots of opportunities, but we always have to choose. And of course, follow Jesus, our master. Oh my gosh. Maybe I can need that. So follow Jesus, our master, which is our best example of love and charity. Love one another and do unto others what we wish they would do unto us. If we have that in mind, we'll be always able to tell if what we're doing is right, if what we're doing is wrong. So Jesus is the best influencer of all times. Who has more followers than Jesus? Nobody, right? Was not even Instagram at his time, but he still has lots of followers. So if we remember Jesus' lessons and how he loved humanity, how he serves all of us with his lessons and in all the situations that he could help us. So it's a matter of checking on ourselves and slowly changing our mentality and using free will to make better choice in our lives. I think that's I broke the thing, but that's okay. Is that okay? Cool. Sorry, and hopefully that this is not broken. We have our IT guy here that's gonna fix later, hopefully. Cool. So yeah, this was what we prepared for tonight about free will. If anybody has any questions, Carol is here to answer all the questions, which is good.
Surprise.
Or any comments at all. Or if everyone is good, that's okay as well. No worries.
Honestly, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right. Thank you, guys.
It's all right. We'll leave it there. It's okay. Thank you, Alcione. So thank you, everyone that is watching us at home. We're going to say goodbye now. We're going to do our vibration here and our prayer.